Here is a press conference with Joe Biden on the end of the war in Afghanistan. Listen.
Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well-equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
So what is the level of confidence that they have that it will not collapse?
The Afghan government and leadership has to come together. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place. The question is, will they generate the kind of cohesion to do it?
This weekend, we saw the most humiliating evacuation of the billion-dollar American embassy. We have been treated to the pictures and the video of the Taliban coming in, now supported by U.S. drones. Why? Because apparently our military left them behind, along with a gigantic cache of weapons. We didn't feel it was necessary to take them back. We have put ourselves back into the exact situation we were in on September 10th, 2001. What's worse? Imagine if we would have gone into Germany and beat the Germans, but we knew that Nazis were in hiding and they were everywhere, and we decided to leave. And the Nazis took power again. Do you think they would fear the United States? Do you think anyone on earth would fear the United States? Or would they say, there's no appetite for war? All you have to do is wait them out. We've already sent that message in Vietnam. But Joe Biden has sent that message unlike any other time in American history. Our allies have called emergency meetings without us. Our allies, England, France, they are all now scrambling, saying we cannot allow this to stand. But they now know they're in a leadership role because we're gone and we left them with military weapons and drones. I wanted to bring in Jason Buttrill, who is our head researcher. And when I saw him this morning, I noticed that his eyes were all puffy, either lack of sleep, allergies, or a very stressful weekend. He was in Afghanistan, one of the first Marines to go in to Afghanistan and fight there. Jason, how are you?
Pissed off, I think, is the more accurate, safe way to describe how I feel today. I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the ones that had a mission when we went there. You know, we saw the first bombs drop. We fired the first shots, and our mission was clear. Kill the Taliban, kill al-Qaeda, knock them out of government. That was my mission, and I'm glad that was the only mission. Because the follow-on mission, and I saw it in the faces of the people that relieved us, the occupation force, they didn't really know what the hell their mission was. And I can tell you that continued for 20 years. That continued for 20 years. The people on the ground would tell anyone what the situation was, and that was, we cannot trust this military. Now, there are some good Afghan fighters, and I tip my hat to them, and I think a lot of us that fought there could probably name them by name. Some very brave men, the Afghan people are. But as a whole, the Afghan army could not be trusted. We would get the news reports for years. You know, U.S. soldiers shot in the back. Where did those news reports go? I stopped seeing them because apparently U.S. soldiers became a statistic not worthy of anything more. And that proceeded for another 19, 20 years. Now, you got to look back and say, what was your plan as many of us were getting shot in the back by these people? Because apparently someone in the Biden administration was telling them that they were fine, they were good to go. They were good to go. You played that clip a month ago. They were good to go. Now, who was telling the president that? Was the president lying when he said the intelligence community was telling you they're not ready? I don't know, but as I saw this morning, there were leaks. We're starting to come predictably out of the intelligence community saying, no, we were telling him the situation was not tenable. This was going to happen, and it did happen. So was it the military personnel? I wanted to give you a little context of the military personnel on the ground. Back when ISIS swept through Syria and Iraq, the head of CENTCOM was General Lloyd Austin. He was the commanding general when they said, hey, what's going on right now, it seems a little fishy. Why are the intelligence reports coming out saying that everything's rosy when the situation was not rosy? Well, the scandal came out. The intelligence reports were being doctored just to make the administration look good, to make President Obama look good. General Lloyd Austin, for some reason, didn't go down for that. He's now the Secretary of Defense. So is this any surprise at all that these people are now in command? It's not a surprise to me at all. It's a simultaneous throat and gut punch today from me, Glenn.
The fact that the Pentagon has been focused on woke politics. Any comment on their focus?
Yeah, General Milley, where's your resignation? That's what I'd like to know. You're so focused on that for standing down the military for, what was it, a week to a month? I can't remember what it was, to address extremism in the military. Is that what you were focused on and not listening to your battle commanders on the ground? Is that possibly what was happening? I would love to hear from General Milley. I'd love for him to call in this morning just so we could ask him, do you plan on resigning? I would love to know.
We're reaching out to General Milley, asking him to join us today, and also asking just for a statement on the question, are you resigning?
But it's not just him. It's the entire government is focused on that. And we pointed that out. The Department of Homeland Security, the intelligence community, they all made a hard pivot towards wokeness and extremism in the military. They never did this when, we found out that there were terrorists in the military, back during the Fort Hood shooting in Texas. They never stood the military down then. They never did what they were doing now. Why? Well, I mean, I'm sure they were doing their investigations, but it's probably not a good thing to reorient the entire thinking of the military and intelligence community during times of crisis. That's what we're in right now. And what's amazing to me is all the excuses, Glenn. All the excuses. First, now we're not hearing anything from the administration now. Apparently, we don't rate a explanation from this administration. Well, I mean, they're still on vacation. Biden's still on vacation. Psaki's gone on vacation, which is weird. But apparently, that we don't rate any other kind of explanation. We got that one ridiculous statement that Nancy Pelosi was praising yesterday. But that one ridiculous statement where the president was like, well, apparently, I inherited this from the Trump administration. Get out. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot go in day one of your administration with this big spectacle of signing executive orders, erasing everything the president did, erasing all of his personnel from your cabinet, getting rid of all the bureaucrats and everything that Trump put in, and now say in this one instance, it was his fault. We don't even know what Trump's plan was. I was a critic on Friday when I came on and said, look, we shouldn't have been getting out of there in the summer months, period, which I think that was part of Trump's plan.
Right.
We should have waited till the winter. But I don't know what the rest of his plan was. You can't say everything else he did was bad. What he planned in Afghanistan, we stuck to. Oh, so that was the one thing, huh? That was the one thing you stuck to. Now it's his fault. And we also saw from General Lloyd Austin, he was very, very clear. He's like, well, you know, it's really crazy. You know, the Afghan army, it's, you know, it's all on them. No, again, you can't put it on the Afghan army. You can't have it both ways. You can't say a month ago, all signs point to they're ready, they're capable, they can defend. So that, and because of that, that's why we're getting out. But today, the day that Afghanistan's falling, and the day after, you're saying, oh, it's all on them. You cannot have it both ways on this. I want mass resignations on this, massive resignations for this. And if Congress doesn't have the balls to hold them to it, then I want a Daniel Ellsberg-esque whistleblower somewhere within the intel community, which I think it's going to happen because they're not going down for this. Intelligence community is not going down for this. You saw them weaponize against Trump. They will weaponize against President Biden. Almost guarantee it. But we need someone to leak who is to blame for that. Who is feeding false information? What did they have to gain?
Do you believe they were feeding false information, or do you believe that they just didn't care? The White House didn't care.
I absolutely believe they were funneling false information. Absolutely. I mean, you saw it this is just how it works. You saw it in ISIS. It becomes political. Dead soldiers become statistics. They really do. And that does not look good for administrations. And I think this goes for 20 years. But I absolutely think people were involved with saying, look, there's a very rosy picture. We got it all under control. I think it's time we get those people out of the establishment ASAP.